Hey guys, it's Holly and this is not your average Spanish lesson. Today we're going to be talking about things that many people find unpleasant or embarrassing, so much so that as a society we've come up with ways to avoid saying them altogether. These are called euphemisms, a mild or indirect word or expression substituted for one considered to be too harsh or blunt when referring to something unpleasant or embarrassing. Their purpose is to minimize social embarrassment or offense, but we're also going to be talking about the less politically correct dysphemisms, which range from the socially taboo to the downright inappropriate. Lucky for us, these words sound very similar in Spanish. We have eufemismo and disfemismo. Let's go over their definitions in Spanish. Un eufemismo es una palabra o expresión políticamente aceptable o menos ofensiva que sustituye a otra palabra de mal gusto que puede ofender o sugerir algo no placentero o peyorativo al oyente. Un disfemismo es una palabra o expresión deliberadamente despectiva o insultante que se emplea en lugar de otra más neutral. Puede usarse humorísticamente. If you're ready to talk about all those things that make people squirmy, then let's get this video started. Our first topic is death. Now, the direct translation of the noun death would be la muerte. The verb to die would be morir or morirse. So to say that someone died, you could say murió or se murió. But let's be honest, that sounds a little bit harsh. It's a little bit more PC to use these other terms. Fallecer, which is something a little more similar to pass on. Perder la vida. In third person, perdió la vida, which means he lost his life or she lost her life. Or pasar a mejor vida, to pass on to a better life. Getting into a little bit weirder territory, we have perecer, which is to perish. Expirar, to expire. Dejar de existir, to cease to exist. And here in the weirdest territory of all, we have quite a long list of words to refer to death. Despidió el espíritu, he said goodbye to his spirit. Se torció, which quite literally means he twisted, possibly referring to rigor mortis there. Le llegó su hora, his time came. Estiró la pata, he stretched out his foot. Entró al sueño eterno, he entered eternal sleep. Entregó el equipo, he turned in his equipment. That one's kind of amusing. Colgó los tenis, he hung up his tennis shoes. Chupó faros, which some say alludes to an old school Mexican cigarette that had no filter. These two are related. We have dobló el petate and se petateó. A petate is basically a bed mat made of palm, and people used to roll up their dead inside of these. Next, let's talk about lying and stealing. For some reason, nobody wants to come out and actually say these things, and they find millions of ways to beat around the bush. The most direct way to call someone a liar is to call them a mentiroso. The root word there is mentira, which is a lie. From there we have embustero, which is someone that invents embustes, sort of like an exaggerator. Another commonly used term is hablador, and this basically just means talker. Maybe it comes from all talk and no action, or someone that doesn't follow through on their word. And speaking of words, here are the words for the act of lying. We have mentir, as I mentioned earlier, engañar, which is to trick, enredar, to tangle, fabricar falsedades, which means to fabricate falsehoods. No andes fabricando falsedades por ahí. We have faltar a la verdad, which is probably used by people when they're caught in the act of lying and don't want to just come out and say I'm a liar. It means I failed the truth or misrepresented it. And here's a fun one that's used in some countries. We have tirarse el moco, which literally means to pull out a booger. Yes, from your nose. This is used for people that exaggerate, brag, or talk big. It's like waxing eloquent, but adding to the equation that you are deviating from the truth. When we talk about stealing, the most direct translation would be robar, but you're also going to hear estafar, which is to rip off or to con, levantar, which means to lift, similar to shoplifting. And here's my favorite, apropiación indebida. Inappropriate appropriation. That's one way to say it. The most common ways to say thief would be ladrón or ratero, but we also have estafador, cleptómano, bandido, carterista, as if wallets are their thing, their area of expertise. Maleante, which carries connotations of someone that's doing a lot of things wrong, with that root word mal, which is bad. And in Spain, another slang word that they have for robber is chorizo or chori, which comes from galo, which is the language that the Spanish gypsies speak. Chorizo also means sausage, by the way. Next, we're going to be talking about periods, and you know it is virtually impossible to talk about periods on YouTube without mentioning Clue, the #1 rated app that will help you track and understand your menstrual cycle, predict your next period, when you'll be PMSing, and when you're most or least likely to get pregnant. Disponible en español y en inglés. Make sure to click the link in the description so you can download it for free. So the proper technical term is menstruación, which, what do you know, means menstruation. Other commonly used terms are el periodo, the period, la regla, the rule or the ruler. I always thought of it as a ruler, but I'm pretty sure they're talking about the rule that you gotta have it. Or get this one, flujo menstrual. Flujo. Don't love that word, I'm not gonna lie. It means menstrual flow. Pretty basic ways to say that you're on your period would be estoy menstruando, I'm menstruating. Estoy en mis días, I'm in my days. Me bajó, it came down. Me ha venido, it has come. Estoy indispuesta, I am indisposed. Don't ask any more questions. We all know what I'm talking about. Estoy mala, which means I am simply not doing well. Estoy con cosas de mujeres. I have women things. And here, as you'll notice, we're gonna get progressively more creative. We have ando de sangrona. Sangrona is used for someone who is being snobby or rude, but it does derive from the root word sangre, which is blood in Spanish. Ando con la marea roja. I've got the red tide. Ando en los días R. I guess R, the letter R for red, rojo. Tengo el mal mensil. And mensil is actually an obsolete adjective that means occurring once a month, aka monthly. So this is kind of like the monthly negative. How about this one? Tengo el comunismo, or estoy navegando con bandera comunista, referring to communism and the color that typically symbolizes it, red. We also have tengo la tarjeta roja, I have the red card. Tengo la luna, I have the moon. Wouldn't we all like to have the moon? And a series of visitors. Ha venido mi tía, my aunt has come. Estoy con Andrés, or llegó Andrés. The follow-up here is el que viene cada mes. I'm with Andrew, the one that comes every month, except for this rhymes in Spanish. And in some countries we have andar con Juana Meneses. The subtext here, la que huevea todos los meses. So I'm hanging out with Juana Meneses, the one that puts an egg out every month. I hope my translation was accurate. That's so weird. But wait, things are about to get just a little bit weirder. Let's talk about going to the bathroom. Here are the most common ways to let someone know that you are going to the bathroom. Voy al baño, or voy al excusado. The most ladylike would be voy al tocador, which means I'm going to the dressing table, or the vanity. Voy a empolvarme la nariz, ahorita vengo. That means I'm going to powder my nose. Of course you are, dear. Me voy a peinar. I'm gonna go comb my hair. Voy a rezar. I'm gonna go pray. Voy a pensar. I'm gonna go think. Wow. All things that you just might do on the toilet. You never know. Continuing on, we have tengo una necesidad. I have a need. Voy a sentarme en el trono. I'm going to go sit on the throne. For those who appreciate a good book on the pot, we have voy a la biblioteca. I'm going to the library. Or voy a leer el periódico. I'm going to read the newspaper. This one's great. Voy a hacer unas gestiones. It basically means you're gonna go do your due diligence to make something happen. And last but not least, we have voy a hacer una escala técnica or voy a hacer una parada técnica. Gotta make a technical stop. Now this would not be a list of awkward things to talk about if I did not include poop itself. Some people really like to get into detail and tell us exactly what they're doing on that throne. The most direct translations would be caca and popo, with an accent on the second O. Now those words are nouns. If you want to turn them into verbs, you have hacer caca or hacer popo, to make poop. Now neither of those are very politically correct, so there's always the good old voy a hacer del dos, I'm going to do number 2. How is it that both English and Spanish have that one? A few more technical terms. We have defecar, to defecate, evacuar, to evacuate, I guess you're evacuating your bowels, and excretar, to excrete. Very technical. And here we have a whole host of dysphemisms or euphemisms to describe the act of pooping. Some people like to say, voy a ir a Chicago. I'm going to go to Chicago. Isn't that nice? The reason for this would be that the last 2 syllables of that phrase are a very vulgar way of conjugating the verb to poop in the first person. Then we have, voy a ir a quitarme un peso de encima. I like this one. It keeps it kind of on the surface. I'm gonna go take a weight off of myself. Voy a dar lo mejor de mí. That sounds inspirational. I'm going to go give the best of myself. Wait, that's the best of yourself? Other favorites are voy a plantar un pino. I'm gonna go plant a pine tree. Voy a liberar a Willy. I'm gonna go free Willy. Voy a lanzar un misil. I'm gonna go launch a missile. And last but not least, voy a echar un topo al remolino. I'm gonna go throw a mole into the whirlpool. Wasn't that pleasant, guys? I bet nobody else has given you a Spanish class like that one. Let me know if you enjoyed it and if there are any euphemisms or dysphemisms that I may have missed. Until next time, I'll talk to you guys very soon. Class is dismissed. Siri, what is a topo?
As an adjective, it means consisting of two equal, identical, or similar parts or things.
Oh, Siri no habla español.